Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, and to those listening at home. Please be seated while Councillor Betts delivers the blessing. Thank you.
Almighty God and Heavenly Father, as we have gathered here today as council to deliberate on matters that affect this city, we pray for your leading and your guiding, and we give you thanks for the many blessings that you have given us as a city. We thank you for the gift of life itself. And so we just pray for discernment and wisdom and ask that you would guide us in every deliberation. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Before we begin, I will acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, and on behalf of Council, pay our respects to them, their culture and their elders, both past and present. I just ask that someone let me into this meeting while I read through the rest of it. Yes, thank you. Okay, it is now 7:03 and I declare the meeting open. There are no announcement of visitors. I'll just read the disclaimer. Members of the public are cautioned against taking any action on council decisions on items in which they may have an interest until such time as they've seen a copy of the minutes of the meeting or have been advised in writing by city staff. Please note we are live streaming, so all council meetings are digitally recorded on the city's YouTube channel, except for confidential agenda items, during which time the live streaming will be temporarily suspended. Just going to hold on for a sec while we get this. How are we going? I've got a tablet here that needs to have some people on it, so just logging into that. That has... Might have to get a stand for that. Okay, record of attendance. Councillor Dewhurst has a leave of absence and Councillor Adams is joining us online. There are no other... We're all here other than that. Disclosures of interest. Are there any? No disclosures of interest. Announcements by presiding member, there are none. Reports of delegates. No reports from delegates, thank you. We'll now move on to question time. No questions. And no public statement time. So we can move on relatively quickly then. We'll move on to the confirmation of the minutes, please. Can I get a mover for that? Councillor Zhang to move that and seconded by Councillor Lloyd. Is there any questions on the minutes, councillors? No, if you would like to cast your vote, thank you, by a show of hands. Thank you. That has been carried. Receiving of petitions and presentations. Are there any? No. Applications of leave of absence. I have two. I have one from Councillor Betts, which is seeking a leave of absence from council from the 21st of the 7th to the 28th of the 7th, which includes the council meeting on the 28th of July. And I have another one from myself, which is seeking leave of absence from the 17th of July to the 31st of July, which includes the council meeting on July the 28th. They're both for personal reasons. Can I get a mover for those, please? Councillor Islam to move those and a seconder. Councillor Sajjad, thank you. Councillors, if you please cast your vote. Thank you. That has been carried. There are no questions of which due notice has been given. I might bring forward the item on the 13.2.2, which is the... I'll do the history and heritage first, but then I'll bring forward the item on the place of worship. So 12.1, which is the History and Heritage Advisory Group meeting. Can I seeking a mover for that, please? Councillor Zhang to move that and Councillor Sislak to second that. Councillor Zhang, would you like to speak to this item? Councillor Sislak, any questions or debate on this item, councillors? No? Then if you could please cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you, that has been carried. We'll now move on to item number 13.2.2, the development application for the amendment to the place of worship at 269 Lot 41 Warton Road in Canning Vale. Seeking a mover, Councillor Betts to move this and Deputy Mayor Williamson to second this. Councillor Betts, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Hindu temple on Warton Road is a pretty significant community facility, and for the community to further develop that site, I think is a positive thing. And the parking issues that they have at various times hopefully will be alleviated by some extra car parking going in there. And one day we may even see an exit from the car park into Spinifex Way to reduce the traffic flow issues in and out of the car park. But I certainly speak in favour of and support the staff recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to the item? Anyone else wanting to speak to this item? I'll just quickly speak to it, and yes, you are correct. The Hindu temple is a fabulous facility for the community, and yes, it does have its share of traffic issues, so I would hope that the decision makers continue to work very hard at alleviating those traffic issues, and I'm happy to support the officer's recommendation on this as well. Any further debate or questions, councillors? Did you need to close, Councillor Betts? No, if you could please cast your vote on the amendment. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Thank you. You're welcome to go and home, or you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. You are not obliged to. Thank you. Thank you. So now move back to 13.1.1, the development of the new leisure and aquatic facility. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Sajjad to move this, Councillor Dalton to second this. Councillor Sajjad, would you like to speak to this item?
No, I think we all know the requirement for the aquatic facility in our city. So because of lack of funding, obviously we can't go for the full-fledged plan of 132 million. We'll go with the council recommendation of us to go back and come back with a revised plan with a lesser budget.
Thank you, Councillor Sajjad. Councillor Dalton is a seconder. Any other? Deputy Mayor, do you want to move your amendments? Amendment 1.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move the first amendment, which is on the blue paper. So the first amendment reads, I, Councillor Williamson, propose the following, that staff recommendation 1 of 4 be amended to read that Council supports the commissioning of revised plans and a detailed feasibility study for a scaled-back aquatic facility at Sutherland's Park with capital costs capped at $80 million and outcomes reported back to Council by March 2027. In addition, Council requests the feasibility study considers the staging of the project, with stage 1 including indoor aquatic facilities and commercial opportunities such as allied health facilities, for the following reason. The amendment aligns with the staff recommendation, however provides a monetary value for the project and a realistic timeframe to report back to Council. Further, the amendment indicates Council's desire to deliver the project under a staged approach if necessary, with the first stage providing opportunities to generate income. Thank you.
Are you seeking a seconder? Councillor Dalton to second that. Thank you. Would you like to speak to the item?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, as Councillor Sajjad indicated, we had previous plans, really big plans at that stage, and we had asked for a very significant amount of funding from state and federal government. Unfortunately, we were not successful, but that position of not being successful doesn't mean our community doesn't need this facility. So it's a prudent council. We've discussed this numerous times to work out all the different options, and I think we've come to the position that our community still needs a larger aquatic centre than we have with Leisure World, and that we would need to be realistic about what we could deliver in the current economic climate. And so with that, asking city staff to go out to revise plans on a scaled down version and obtain operating costs as part of the feasibility is the next step required. I think as a council, it's important that we set a monetary limit on that, because if we go out with an open blanket size, where does the staff draw that line? How much does this council see this investment warranting. So I think it's about putting that parameter in so staff have the best opportunity to go out, do those revised plans, have the revised feasibility in something that the council actually has an appetite to commit to. But then I do have another amendment because $80 million is still a lot and we can't be expected to fully fund that. But I'll speak more on that when it comes to the other amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Dalton as a seconder. Would anybody else like to speak to this item? Councillor Lloyd, thank you. The question?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify. I believe when we were speaking to the CEO in our meeting that we said that we wouldn't be looking at the scaled-back project as being a staged one, that the scaled-back project itself would be the first stage. Can I have clarification on that, please?
Thank you. And Mr CEO, would you like to respond to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I'd like to think that will be the case because that will give us economies of scale and best bang for buck. But I know Councillor Williamson's reasoning talks about staged approach if necessary, and I think that's absolutely right. That we should have that flexibility in there. It's just that my desire would be if we've got a smaller facility that we'd look to deliver it as one facility, but there may be a necessity to do it in a couple of stages.
Thank you. Any further debate or questions on this amendment, councillors? Did you need to close, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I note the CEO's comments about staging, and I think it's important if we're going to spend money on doing a revised plan and feasibility, that when we're getting that back, we're in a position to pivot off that data when we get it back. So I think we need to be asking for that staged approach because we never know what's going to happen going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, if you would like to cast your vote on the amendment, thank you. Thank you. That has been... Councillor Adams, I can't see your hand. Oh, it's to the side. Okay, thank you. That's been carried. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you like to move your next amendment? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My second amendment is on the green paper. So it reads, I, Councillor Williamson, propose the following, that staff recommendation 4 of 4 be amended to read that Council supports the in-house development of an advocacy strategy seeking $15 million each from the state and Commonwealth governments for the development of a new aquatic facility at Sutherland's Park. This amendment, for the following reason, this amendment aligns with the staff recommendation to develop the advocacy plan. However, it specifies the expected external funding commitment the city requires to deliver this project.
I'm happy to second that if you'd like to speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think now the scale of the project is significantly reduced to what our previous asked. I think it's worthwhile from the onset being transparent to our community of what we're expecting from the state and federal government, as well as transparent to the state and federal government. We know that our community has fully backed this project. We had a number of letters to state and federal government. I think over 4,000 letters went directly from the community to the federal and state members advocating for funding towards this project. So I think now if we're working towards a scaled back version, we want to be really clear from the onset how much we really need from them to get this project off the ground. So I think putting that dollar amount in there makes it clear and we can get off and start advocating as soon as possible and get a really clear plan for what is realistic for us to achieve. Thank you.
As a seconder, I'm happy to support this amendment as it is. Thank you. Councillor Betts, thank you.
I noticed the amendment leaves off the indoor court, sports courts in Maddington. Was that deliberate? Is that an oversight? You feel that should be a separate thing?
It's a separate thing.
Sorry?
It's a separate thing.
Separate thing, okay. So you want that deleted? Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Thank you. 1 second.
Perhaps I'll just take the opportunity to speak to the amendment.
Yep.
I'm comfortable with that. I wouldn't mind if the state government and federal governments gave us 20 million. I wouldn't complain. So I'm more than happy to take whatever they give us, but I guess 15 million gives us a good figure. I just note that the original recommendation, staff recommendation number 4, includes seeking a strategy to get funding for the development of a new aquatic facility at Sutherland's Park and indoor sports courts in Maddington. My understanding is that this amendment actually replaces recommendation 4 in total, which means the Maddington courts would actually drop off. And I was just wondering whether that was the intention or whether we actually want to perhaps,
Councillor Betts, you might like to move an amendment for 5 for 5 as another one for Maddington, because otherwise you're putting that money towards that and not this.
Yeah. Or perhaps we'll just deal with this amendment, then perhaps I can do another amendment about doing something for the courts, or will we do that as a later date?
Can we do that as a later date?
Do it at a later date, okay,
more
fine.
about the aquatic facility, and there might be some.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just leave it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you happy with that? Everybody happy with that? Any further debate on this, councillors? Councillor Islam?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just ask a question? Referring to the report, there are 2 recent projects where federal didn't contribute. Now, looking at this amendment, are we saying both state and federal will have to commit $15 million each, or is Deputy Mayor is okay to say $30 million total grant from either state or federal? Does that make sense? No? Okay.
We don't care where the 30 million comes from.
Okay.
Maybe, Madam
Good.
Mayor.
All right, that's okay. All right, thank you.
If one was to contribute 20 and the other only contributed 10, I think we'd be ecstatic.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can I just say, because it says 15 million each, that's where the confusion is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Any further debate or questions on this item, councillors? All right, if you would like to close, Deputy Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank the councillors that raised queries in relation to this and spoke on the item. I think both very valid points. I think to address Councillor Betts's query with Maddington, I sort of see that as a separate project like any of our other capital projects, where we would go along the same advocacy course as we do the indoor courts or anywhere. I think this is our major project, and that's where we really need that focused advocacy strategy. And I think Councillor Islam's, like I note the concern that we're asking for 15 each, but it is an advocacy position, so we don't turn away any additional funding. We would like it to come from each as a fair, but if it was we got more from one than the other, then yeah, that's all totally okay as well. So it would be welcomed. Thank you.
Councillors, if you'd like to cast your vote on the amendment, thank you. Thank you, that has been carried. Councillor Mason, would you like to put your amendment up? Thank you.
I'm not too sure how this would go, because Deputy Mayor's amendment would be replacing the amendment that I would be asking, but I guess mine would be the addition of the section that I'm going to be wanting to put forward. If we can just get my amendment up on the screen, I would be ever so appreciative of that, please.
Sorry, and Councillor Mason, which recommendation are you adding this to?
Staff recommendation 1.
Thank you.
So there's a slight variation to the amendment to the one that's on the paper in front of you, councillors. So it is Councillor Dylan Mason proposed the following, that the staff recommendation be amended to read that council supports the commissioning of revised plans that focuses on maximising indoor space and retains the capacity for future outdoor expansion should additional government funding become available, and a detailed feasibility study for a scaled-back aquatics facility at Sutherland's Park, for the following reasons. A number of residents supported the original splash concept because they saw it as a significant long-term investment in the community recreation, health and well-being. While the current financial environment may require a more measured approach, retaining the ability to expand in the future provides reassurance that the original vision has not been abandoned. Designing the revised facility with the future expansion in mind allows the city to deliver a financially responsible project now while avoiding decisions that could limit future opportunities. As the population grows, particularly with ongoing residential developments across the city, future demand for aquatic, recreation and community facilities is likely to increase. By protecting the ability to expand, should additional government funding, grants or partnerships become available, Council can balance current affordability pressures with responsible long-term planning. This approach recognises the need to manage ratepayers' costs today while still preserving the ambition of creating a facility that can continue to serve future generations.
Councillor Mason, can you just hold on 1 second? I'm just trying to work out how the two of them work together, if that's your intention. Would it be you're adding that onto the bottom of the amendment that's just happened?
So I guess
you're not advocating to replace the whole amendment, are you?
no, that would be that would be inserting.
So we've now moved that as 1 of 4. So it's it's a sort of amendment just to sort of almost. It's
Just another addition?
additional point. Yeah.
So to include instead of to read, so that it's not replacing?
Yes,
Just remove that word read and put include.
amended to include.
Does that suit everybody?
That'll work.
That'll work. Can we get it? I'll need the seconder first, and he's got a chance to speak, and then there'll be questions. You're happy to second that, Councillor Sislak, if you would like to speak to the item?
Yes, so this amendment, I believe, provides a practical pathway forward while maintaining flexibility for the future. The reality is our community needs do not stay the same. Our population will inevitably grow and the demand for quality recreational facilities will increase over time. That's just a given. By designing the revised project with future expansion in mind, we are making sure that the decision made today does not prevent opportunities tomorrow. This approach allows Council to deliver a facility that is achievable, and within our current financial environment, we are still protecting the ability to respond to future funding opportunities or changing community needs. I believe this is a responsible approach and that balances delivering a project now with ensuring it can continue to evolve over time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sislak, as the seconder, did you want to speak to this item? Councillor Lloyd, do you have a question?
I just wanted to ask a question because it's an additive to Councillor Williamson's one. Are we still capping it at the 80 million? Is that what's suggested? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I just have a question as well. Is the intent of this to build this in a way that there is land for expansion, or to include this in the actual design as far as pipework and where that goes? Is it just to make sure it's built, that there's still land there?
Yes, so that whether it's... Do you want me to stand up? So yes, there would be the idea that we would develop a plan that there is capacity, not necessarily the groundwork, but the capacity that if we would like to expand, then we can do so, however that sees fit.
Okay.
But not necessarily fitting into our current plan of what we want to build and seek funding for, but making it very clear that we have capacity to expand, maximising indoor space being built out.
Thank you. Does that cover that? Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that because we're not talking specifically about land in the amendment.
It does, but what that sort of effectively means for me is that the first stage is that we will work on a plan which purely focuses or broadly focuses on indoor stuff. We won't look at outdoor recreational pools or anything like that. We'll really focus on the indoor elements and just leave some space for outdoors.
Councillor Betts, thank you.
I just want to be 100% clear. My understanding is that this amendment is to replace staff recommendation 1 with this statement. Is that correct?
No, it's to include it. Yeah. Start with recommendation with the amendment. Yes. Can we have it on the screen? It's on the screen.
Yeah. So all the red is Councillor Mason's amendment, is it?
No, I'll just explain. The first part is the amendment that the Deputy Mayor did, and the second paragraph that is in red is this amendment that we're dealing with now to be added to the first part.
Okay. Right. Okay.
No, that's the... So this is the revised plans focus on maximising indoor space. So the first part is, yes, in the red is... Councillor Mason's. The stuff in the blue has been approved from Deputy Mayor Williamson.
Oh, I would have put it at the bottom and then put it at the top.
Yeah, well, just...
So which is Councillor Mason's amendment?
Red.
The top, recommendation 1 of 4.
The red part, yes.
Okay.
Yep, put the bottom next to it.
Okay.
I'm just going to give everyone a couple of minutes to make sure that they're across that, and
It kind
otherwise-
of doubles up, but I guess it doesn't matter.
anywho. Any questions or debate on this, councillors? Okay, if you would like to close, Councillor Mason.
So essentially what I'm seeking is that we make it very clear that we want to maximise the indoor. It's relatively or more cost-effective way to retrofit outdoor facilities than it is to add additional rooms. So if we're making it very clear that our plans for future aquatic centre focuses on maximising the indoor space, because that's the more expensive part, then there's capacity for future proofing that we can then add our outdoor pools or outdoor facilities there. So I ask that we support this.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Councillors, if you could please cast your vote on this item. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. I too have an amendment. Purple. My amendment is that I, Mayor Teresa Lyons, propose the following: that the staff recommendation be amended by the inclusion of an additional part 5. So it'll be, everything else will change to 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, 4 of 5, it'll be 5 of 5. And that is that council supports the position that the city will not develop an aquatic facility at Sutherlands Park without substantial funding commitments from the state and Commonwealth Government, which, as previously discussed, is, I'm going to add that in there, 15 million each, as previously adopted. I've just written this here. Do you want me to reread that, anyone? And for the following reasons, that the city and its residents should expect substantial financial contributions from the state and Commonwealth governments towards the development of an aquatic facility at Sutherlands Park, and funding for a facility of this size should not be left solely to the ratepayers when the state and Commonwealth governments have contributed substantial sums to developments of similar nature or similar facilities in other local government areas. And I am seeking a seconder. Councillor Dalton's happy to second that. And it all kind of says it within there. I think that the city, the residents in this area deserve that funding. It is needed in the area, and we are thinking for the future of our city, and this is something that needs to be supported by the federal and state in this area, and not to be just given out other places. It needs to come here as well. So I think it's important that we make a stance on this, that this proceeds only if we're getting that funding from those other sources. As a seconder, would you like to speak to this? Thank you. Does anybody else want to speak to this item? Councillor Mason, thank you.
I just got a question more in relation to, I guess, should we include or should there be some sort of timeline that we would expect? Because if we're taking the position that we will not develop an aquatic centre without this, at what point do we draw the mark and say, no, we're no longer going to be advocating for that, we're going to now be pivoting to another idea?
It's a good question, but I wouldn't be happy to put a time frame on my amendment. If you wanted to do another amendment, for reasons being is that it does close it down and this council still has decisions to be made over this. Normally I would say yes, put a time frame on it, but in this particular case, I wouldn't be happy to put that on my amendment. Mr CEO.
Madam Mayor, I think putting a timeline on it is potentially unhelpful because it will come back if we're unsuccessful with advocacy. That's the way the splashes come back to us and come back to us on a number of occasions over a range of workshops. So I think you can take it for granted that if we're unsuccessful in the next round of advocacy, we'll be coming back to council with where do you want to go.
Any further debate or questions? Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Sajad, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm speaking in support of your amendment. I think this further strengthens our position with the community and state and federal government. We're being fully transparent here that we know our community needs this project, we need this facility, but we just can't fund it all by ourselves. So they need to step up to deliver their part. And I think when you look at a pool, it aligns with their priorities to do with disability services, having facilities to support people to rehabilitate, to build capacity. It supports public health, so we align with all their strategic goals. So I really hope we can have that come forward and be successful, and I think it's really important to make that clear to them and our community that if this doesn't go ahead, we have tried our hardest. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sajjad?
Just a clarification of this recommendation number 5. How does it falls in line with recommendation number 1, where we are asking to go for a smaller project scale and come back with the options? So that means if
You would still be doing the studies because that's recommendation 1.
Sorry?
You would still be doing the studies because that's recommendation 1. This refers to the full build.
Yep, so studies will still be carried on, but no project will commence. It says that the project of this size will left solely to the ratepayers. Does that mean that the whole amount will be coming off the ratepayers, or there's other ways council can also support the fundings like grants or anything else?
So what this says in my reasons is that it should not be left solely to residents and ratepayers, and the way this would normally be funded is jointly through state and federal support, and that's what this is about. We haven't got any other avenues. If the council wanted to, if you wanted to do another amendment that council went down the line to look for another funding source, you could do that.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further debate or questions on this amendment? Councillor Islam, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just get clarity on when we say substantial funding, what do we mean by this? Is that a 50%?
We mean 15 million from each.
Okay, all right.
It's been amended in the thing, if you have a look at it on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or debate, councillors? Happy to leave it as it is, so if you would like to cast your vote. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, that has been carried. We'll now move back to the original item with the inclusion of the 4 amendments. Is there any further debate on the original item with the 4 amendments as adopted? Councillor Lloyd, thank you.
I want to explain my vote because I don't want anyone to misunderstand my position. I did vote for the amendments tonight because if this is to go ahead, this would be the absolute bare minimum that I'd be comfortable with. But I want on the record my overarching position. Firstly, I want to make it very clear that I support improved aquatic facilities for our community. My vote tonight is not against a pool, indoor, outdoor or otherwise, and I'm not against investing in our community. Earlier today, I asked the CEO for the total amount the city has already invested in the Splash project. I appreciate him providing that information before tonight's meeting. The city has already invested approximately $300,000 in concept designs, feasibility work, consultancy, advocacy, excluding staff time. Tonight, we're being asked to commit a further $250,000 to $300,000 on revised plans for another feasibility study that would effectively double the planning expenditure for this project before construction has even commenced. I understand that new feasibility study would be required if council chooses to pursue a different, smaller facility, and from my understanding, the previous work cannot be simply transferred to a different project. However, that is not the questions that I'm struggling with tonight. The first question I have to determine is, has there been broad state and federal government support for this project? At this stage, we only have $2 million committed for stage 1 of a $130 million project. Question 2 for me is whether there is sufficiently robust business case to justify asking ratepayers to fund another significant stage of planning. Before committing another potential $250,000 of public money, I want to be satisfied that the investment has a realistic pathway to delivering an achievable project for our community. I believe we have an obligation to ensure that significant investment is supported by a clear business case, and I'm not yet satisfied that spending another $250,000 to $300,000 now is the right step. I genuinely want our community to have improved aquatic facilities. I simply believe we owe our ratepayers confidence that every additional dollar invested moves us materially closer to a project that can be realistically delivered. For those reasons, I will be voting against the recommendation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Is there any further debate or questions on this item? Other than, I'll just touch on a couple of things that you've said there, and everybody has obviously got the right to have their views on these things. And if it could be any other way, that would be amazing. It is a very frustrating process that we have to go through. We are thinking for the future of our city, of course, and in order to do that, we were not successful to get the funding for the $132 million project, so we have had to rethink and pivot on that design, and we know from the staff that they've said that the feasibility or the numbers or the design cannot be changed, as you have mentioned, Councillor Lloyd. So we don't have a choice other than to go down this track if we want to proceed with an aquatic centre in the city. So we have to deliver an aquatic centre for the future of our city. There is no two ways about it. We obviously do have leisure world, but it's not suitable for the entire city to use that. And we have to know that we have to make decisions now for the future. That's our role as councillors, to set the strategic direction for the city for the future. And we couldn't go ahead and make a decision on an $80 million facility without having this feasibility study and more designs and plans from that. Otherwise, what would you be supporting? So you can't make the next decision without this decision. It's a frustrating process, and I know it costs a lot of money, but this is the process and this is what we have to take. So hopefully we can get some good numbers on it, and it looks like it'll be more sustainable for us with the future numbers, and I will be supporting the officer's recommendation with all the amendments. And I think that we do have that backup there with saying that it won't be proceeding without state and federal support. So, yeah, that's all I have. Thank you very much. Anybody else have anything to say on this item? Councillor Mason, thank you.
So, in the hope of persuading Councillor Lloyd, I guess I will give it a go. I was going to sit back and think, no, the Mayor's covered it now, but what would I be doing if I did not have this already prepared speech to try and persuade her? So I'm going to give it a crack anyway, as well as many other councillors in the room that may choose to vote no at this point in time. So for myself, I'll be supporting the recommendations we've come up with these amendments tonight. Like many members of our community, I was excited by the original version for Splash. Unfortunately, despite the city's advocacy efforts, the level of state and Commonwealth funding required to deliver the project has simply not materialised to a level that one would have hoped for. At the same time, our city continues to grow rapidly. More families are moving into our suburbs every year, and demand for an aquatic facility and indoor sporting spaces like this will only increase. If we do not begin planning now, we risk falling further behind than the needs of our community that will come in the future. Importantly, these recommendations, it's not a commitment to construct a facility tomorrow, it is a commitment to undertake the work necessary, albeit it is expensive, but still necessary for us to continue on further, to determine what a more achievable project could look like, and to continue advocating strongly to other levels of government for future funding. Now, the growth is coming to our city regardless. It is our responsibility, as the Mayor has pointed out, to ensure that we have infrastructure that keeps pace while continuing to advocate for our fair share of funding in our city. And I guess the hope would be that all councillors who support the idea of an aquatic centre that may look like this, that will give the CEO and the staff as much ammunition and power to advocate, to know that we have a strong council that needs, wants and desires this facility, would give him the best ammunition forward. So I encourage all councillors to support the recommendations on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Councillor Betts, thank you.
I'd just like to echo what Councillor Mason said. Basically, the choice we've got is we either push ahead and keep trying to advocate for the $130 million project, which is Splash. That's if we don't pass this, that's the only option we have. That's what we can only go for. If we are willing to spend this money on a scaled down one, then we have something with which we can advocate to government for getting funds for this scaled down project. If we don't spend that money, we can only go for splash and nothing else. And I think that's not the way we want to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Is there any further debate or questions on this item, councillors? Who moved this originally?
Councillor Sajad.
Councillor Sajad, you moved this originally. Would you like to close on this item?
Now, I agree with all the other councillors that, yeah, our suburb is growing and our population will be 190,000 by 2036. And the demographic shows that 41% is made up of young couples and couples with their children. So yes, we do need an aquatic centre. And I believe I will be supporting recommendations to go ahead or find alternative options and get a commitment from the state and the Commonwealth to chip in as they have done in other areas. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Sajad. Councillors, I ask you to cast your vote on this item with all the amendments. Thank you. Thank you. That is carried. Okay, we're moving on to item 13.2.1, which is the amendment number 1 of the, I'm going to start again, 13.2.1, amendment number 1 to local planning scheme number 24, which is the extension to period of operation for Maddington Road Precincts A and B DCP finalisation. That is a very long title. Can I get a mover for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Sajad, seconded by Councillor Singh. Would you like to speak to this item, councillors? Any questions? No? Councillors, if you please cast your vote. Thank you. That has been carried. We've done the next one. We now move on to 13.3.1, which is a report on a petition for Pinaster Park. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Singh to move this, Councillor Sislak to second this. Councillor Singh, would you like to speak to this item?
Madam Mayor, I request if we can do in this financial year because the community is growing. So please, I request if everybody can support. Thank you.
Is there an amendment for that?
Sorry.
We didn't need an amendment for that. We're just saying it could be looked at in the mid-year review.
We will look to take it forward.
I know you will. I'm looking at the technicality for learning.
We'll bring it back at a stage if we need to bring it back for a budget variation through the year. So it's not.
Thank you for your request. As the request notes, is it could be included in the mid-year budget. If the council was to find it wasn't included in the mid-year budget, the councillor could then bring in a notice of motion to council to make sure it was going to be included. So at this stage, it will be looked at. If that looks as though it's not going to happen, I would encourage a councillor to bring forward, if that's what they wanted to do, a motion to have that happen. Thank you. The seconder was Councillor Sislak. Would you like to speak to this item? Any questions or debate on this item, councillors? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Williamson, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to speak in support of the staff recommendations and congratulate Councillor Singh for his work in bringing this petition forward. He worked very closely with the community, door knocked on a number of doors, spoke to all the local residents, and he put in a significant amount of work to get it to this stage to come to council. So I fully support this. A large portion of the community has supported it as well. So I think this will be a very good outcome for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anything further, councillors? No? You want to close the debate, Councillor Singh? No? Okay. Councillors, if you would like to cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. We'll now move on to 13.3.2, the report on the petition for increased traffic and speeding on Clontarf Terrace, Canning Vale. Can I get a mover for this? Councillor Sajad to move this and Councillor Betts to second this. Councillor Sajad, would you like to speak to this item?
I think it's self-explanatory. The staff recommendation says it all. What do you call it? The data shows that the speed and the volume is within the limits, and there's only 2 minor crashes in the last 5 years. So this is a well evidence that ES staff recommended against installing the speeding devices.
Thank you, Councillor Judd. Councillor Betts, any other questions or debate on this item, councillors? No, if you could please cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Now move on to 13.5.1, the tender for 04-2026 Leisure World Pool Plant and Maintenance Services. Can I move for this? Councillor Zhang to move this and Councillor Islam to second this. Councillor Zhang, would you like to speak to this item? Councillor Islam, any questions on this, councillors? If you could please cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. Now moving on to, I'm just going to get a copy of this, so I've got it in front of me. A notice of motion, 14.1, which is a request for a draft local planning policy for the assessment of data centres within the city of Gosnells. As this is my proposed motion, I will move this, and the proposed motion is that Council requests the Chief Executive Officer to prepare a draft local planning policy for the assessment of development application data centres within the city of Gosnells and present it to Council for consideration. Councillors, you have in front of you for the reasons for that. I won't read all that out, except I will say the bottom bit is that data centres are becoming an increasingly important part of Australia's digital infrastructure, and Western Australia may be well positioned to attract future investment due to its energy capacity and strategic location. Given the City of Gosnells has significant future industrial land, it is appropriate that Council establishes clear expectations for this type of development. A local planning policy would help ensure that any future data centres are high quality and designed to minimise environmental impacts as much as possible, including through water efficiency, noise management and energy performance, and I am seeking a seconder for this. Councillor Mason to second this. Councillors, just following on from this, is we do have a data centre being built here in the city, as you all know, and there has been increasing community concern over this. We are fortunate that this particular data centre is using a lot of the good technology for environmental impact as much as they can, and maybe there's more they can do. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on data centres, but I do know from the tour that Councillor Mason, myself and the CEO toured a CDC data centre while we were in Canberra, and it was actually an amazing tour, and there was no noise, just so you know. We could not hear any noise, but that's not to say that there wouldn't be noise if the generators had to kick in, because they were huge, but they were encapsulated in concrete barriers. So what we want to do is just to make sure that those good technologies that are being used are being considered for our planning applications, because from the conversations we had there, it is understood that West Australia is being sought out for data centres, and it could be a prime location for multiple relocations of data centres from the Middle East with what's going on there. This is just what we were heard. I haven't got a fact to check that, but in order to make sure that we're not getting those, I'm going to call them dirty data centres, this policy will help to sort that, and obviously councillors will have opportunity to add their thoughts and discussion onto this policy as it gets developed. So I would ask that you support this motion as it is, and thank you very much. Councillor Mason, as the seconder, would you like to speak to this motion? Thank you.
So thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be speaking in support of the motion, and I commend the Mayor and essentially concur with her in most parts. So data centres are becoming an important part of the modern economy, and the City of Gosnells has already seen this type of development occur within its own boundaries. However, not all data centres operate in the same way. The technology used, particularly for cooling, water consumption, energy efficiency and noise management, can vary significantly from one facility to another. If we're going to have more data centres within our facility, we should be encouraging developers that they use modern and efficient technology rather than systems that place unnecessary pressure on water, energy and surrounding communities. This policy creation will allow the city to clearly set out expectations before future applications are received. It will also provide greater certainty for developers and city staff to have a consistent framework when considering these proposals. This motion is not about preventing data centres from being built. In fact, I'm actually in favour of them if they are the same as the CDC data centre that we saw. For the fact that it ensures future-proofing as well as best use of technology. So data centres can bring investments to local opportunity, local jobs for our own city community, but the growth must be balanced with responsible environmental concerns and protection for the surrounding areas. Now, there are obviously concerns in relation to the generators and the noise. Now, I believe CDC, the data centre that we're having built in our city at the moment, have been operating for 15 plus years. I actually believe it was maybe 18 years. And the amount of times, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the times they'd use their generators was 0, other than to test the maintenance. So for a company that has existed for so long, not having to need that sort of stuff, not having to have those fears of having to use backup generators, and they do have fail safes in the event that if there was to be a need for it and how they would go around doing that. But for the fact that they've been around for so long, without having to use that, I think we do want more data centres in our city, but of the CDC calibre. So in that, I'll be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Is there any further debate or questions? Councillor Betts, then Councillor Dalton. Thank you.
I support the motion. Just a question. Because they're massive projects, they don't actually come to us as council. They go to a JDAP or perhaps even approved directly by the WAPC. I'm not quite sure. So what's if we have a policy in place, who has to take notice of that policy?
Thank you, and I will get Mr CEO to respond. I believe they take council position.
So they could come through the city because there's no mandatory limit now for going to the JDAP, but CDC didn't. But the state government through the JDAP will consider council policy positions if they're appropriately made.
Thank you, and I have Councillor Dalton next. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I support the preparation of local planning policy for data centres. These facilities are becoming an increasingly important part of Australia's digital infrastructure, and developing a policy now places the city in a strong position rather than waiting until more applicants are before us. The report appropriately identifies matters such as water efficiency, energy use, emissions and noise. I would encourage us to broaden that conversation slightly. My interest is not simply in whether a data centre is energy efficient. It is whether it is responsible user of community infrastructure, as Councillor Mason indicated. These facilities consume significant amounts of electricity and operate continuously. While electricity infrastructure is primarily a state responsibility, local government has an important role in ensuring developments are appropriately planned and that the impacts on our community are properly understood. As officers develop the policy, I would encourage considerations on how proponents demonstrate the impact their development will have on the existing electricity network, whether infrastructure upgrades will be required, who is responsible for funding those upgrades, and whether cumulative impacts should be considered where multiple data centres are proposed within the same locality. I also think we should consider the supporting infrastructure that accompanies these developments. Backup generators and battery energy storage systems are essential for operational resilience, but they can also affect surrounding communities through noise, emissions, fire safety risks, and visual impacts. These are matters that deserve consideration with a planning framework. Finally, this industry is evolving extremely quickly. I hope this policy is developed as a forward-looking framework that can adapt to increasing demand and emerging technologies rather than simply responding to developments we are seeing today. This isn't about discouraging investment. It's about ensuring that as this industry grows, our planning framework grows with it, balancing innovation with long-term community resilience. I look forward to seeing the draft policy return to Council.
Dalton, is there any further debate on this item, councillors? No, I will just close. I'm still trying to see where we disagreed on something, Councillor Mason, but I think we were in agreement with most of that. And I do note that I did include that the policy should include a requirement for applicants to demonstrate how the environmental impacts of the development have been minimised, including consideration of energy efficiency, emissions, waste management, and resource use. So I think that that goes into what you're saying, Councillor Dalton. I totally agree, and I look forward to developing this policy together with everyone, and I ask that you support this motion. Thank you. Councillors, if you would like to cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Well, now, there's no urgent business, but there is a confidential matter, so I'm seeking a mover to close the meeting. Councillor Lloyd to move that, and Councillor Deputy Mayor to second that. Thank you. Councillors, if you would cast your vote to close the meeting. Thank you. Thank you. It is 7:57 and I declare the meeting closed. We'll turn the recording off. Thank you. Councillor Adams, are you in a place that is confidential where you are confident that no one else can